Hello and welcome back to UAE TV. Please like and subscribe to channel to get further videos directly in your inbox.
Engine ignition, 2, 1, 0. Release and liftoff. As the countdown to Mars continues, the perseverance of humanity launching the next generation of robotic explorers to the Red Planet.
And Atlas TU has gone to closed-loop control. Coming up on 30 seconds into flight, the RD-180 is throttling down as expected. Engine response looks good. And Mach 1, Atlas V is now supersonic.
NASA Mars rover, Perseverance robot launches to detect life on Red Planet. The U.S. Space Agency's Perseverance robot has left Earth on a mission to try to detect life on Mars. The one-tonne, six-wheeled rover was launched out of Florida by an Atlas rocket on a path to intercept the Red Planet in February next year. When it lands, the NASA robot will also gather rock and soil samples to be sent home later this decade. Perseverance is the third mission dispatched to Mars in as many weeks, after launches by the UAE and China. Liftoff from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station occurred at 7:50 local time, 12:50 BST, 11:50 GMT. Perseverance is being targeted at a more than 40 kilometers wide, near-equatorial bowl called Jezero Crater. Satellite images suggest this held a lake billions of years ago. Scientists say the rocks that formed in this environment stand a good chance of retaining evidence of past microbial activity, if ever that existed on the planet. Perseverance will spend at least one Martian year, equivalent to roughly 2 Earth years, investigating the possibility. Unlike the previous 4 rovers NASA has sent to Mars, its new machine is equipped to directly detect life, either current or in fossilized form. But any evidence it uncovers will almost certainly have its skeptics, which is why researchers want to bring whatever Perseverance finds back home for the deeper analysis only sophisticated laboratories on Earth can perform. The rover will package its most interesting rock discoveries in small tubes. An elaborate mix of future missions will then launch later this decade to try to retrieve these samples. At first glance, Perseverance looks to be a copy of the Curiosity robot NASA sent to Mars' Jezero Crater in 2012. Indeed, the new robot even incorporates some leftover parts from the earlier mission. But the 7 instruments on Perseverance are either major upgrades or totally new. Expect some remarkable new imagery from the 23 cameras on the vehicle, and sound, because the Perseverance mission carries microphones as well. We hope to capture some of the sounds of entry, descent and landing, and some of the sounds of driving around, merging that with the video we can take, explained Jim Bell, the principal investigator on the rover's mast-mounted camera system, MASTCAMS. In addition to geological investigations and the search for life, there's an emphasis on future human exploration. The MOXIE instrument will practice making oxygen from Mars' carbon dioxide-dominated atmosphere, and there are even samples of spacesuit material aboard to see how they cope in the planet's harsh environment. This is purely a technology demonstration. Ingenuity aims to prove that aero vehicles can operate in Mars's rarefied air. The 1.8 kg machine will be deployed from Perseverance's belly once a suitable location for its flight experiments has been identified. Ingenuity's twin, counter-rotating blades will have to spin extremely fast to get off the ground. Engineers have 5 sorties planned over a 30-day period, with the ambition on each excursion of climbing ever higher into the sky and getting further away from Perseverance. Today, we simply don't use the aerial dimension in space exploration, but in future we will, said NASA's Ingenuity project leader, Mimi Ab. They will be used, for example, in a scouting function. When humans arrive, or indeed future rovers, the rotorcraft will go in front and gather high-definition images of the way ahead, she told BBC News. Why is Jezero Crater so interesting to scientists? Jezero is named after a town in Bosnia-Herzegovina. In some Slavic languages the word Jezero also means lake, which should explain the fascination. This 500 meters deep bowl once saw huge volumes of water flow in through the western wall to pool on the crater floor. Where the water entered, it even deposited sediments to form a delta. Perseverance will try to land next to this feature. Jezero displays multiple rock types, including clays and carbonates, that have the potential to preserve the type of organic molecules that would hint at life's bygone existence. Particularly enticing is the bathtub ring of sediments laid down at the ancient lake's shoreline. It's here that Perseverance could find what on Earth are called stromatolites. These are ancient fossilized microbial mats, explained rover deputy project scientist Katie Stack-Morgan. They leave behind very thin layers, with concentrations of particular elements and organics at repeated intervals. We'll be looking for those fine laminations, looking for chemistry and textures you wouldn't expect if these things were just abiotic, or didn't involve life.
You know, Mars is the closest place that we can reach with robotic exploration that we think had a really good chance of having ancient life.
The Perseverance rover will land at a location called Jezero Crater. Jezero Crater is a very interesting place. It's a crater that once held a lake.
There are a lot of craters on the surface of Mars that could have once hosted ancient lakes, but not every crater that we think had a lake actually preserves evidence that that lake was there.
It had an inflow channel and it had an outflow channel. That means it was filled, the crater was filled with water.
In Jezero, we have probably one of the most beautifully preserved delta deposits on Mars in that crater.
This is a wonderful place to live for microorganisms, and it is also a wonderful place for those microorganisms to be preserved so that we can find them now so many billions of years later.
There is no other place on Mars that has the unique combination of a lake setting, a beautifully preserved delta, and the diverse mineralogy that we have in Jezero Crater. So it's truly a special landing site.
The major goal of the Perseverance mission is to investigate astrobiology on Mars, and in particular, to address the question of whether life ever existed on Mars. The Perseverance rover starts with a design that's very similar to Curiosity, but we've added to it a whole new set of science instruments. And these science instruments were purposefully selected to help us in the search for biosignatures.
We're going to be taking microphones with us. For the first time, we're going to have that human sense on another planet.
Perseverance carries with her a grand experiment in spacefaring technology, a helicopter, the name of which is now Ingenuity.
One of the major upgrades that Perseverance has from Curiosity is that it's able to self-drive for a distance of up to 200 meters per day. As the rover is driving, it's literally building the map of the road it's driving on Mars.
Scientists for years have told us that to really unlock the secrets of Mars, we have to bring samples from Mars back to Earth.
So what Mars 2020 is going to do is to drill samples, put them in small tubes. We're going to seal it in its own individual tube. We set them on the surface to provide a target for the second two missions, which hopefully will get in development in the next several years and could potentially get the samples back to Earth by 2031.
Perseverance is a very, very profound first step in both our understanding of our place in the universe and a stepping stone towards human exploration on Mars.
Landing on Mars is known as the 7 minutes of terror. A successful landing makes you want to celebrate.
Touchdown confirmed.
Touchdown, we have touchdown. Extra zone.
But why exactly is getting to the red planet one of the toughest things in space travel?
It's because the distance between Earth and Mars constantly changes, because each one orbits the Sun at different speeds and distances, from around 401 million kilometers to more like 56 million. About every 2 years, the two planets are in the perfect position for us to get to Mars with the least amount of rocket fuel.
3, 2, 0.
But this journey still takes about 7 months of cruising through space.
If the launch goes well, and and you make it to Mars without your spacecraft being damaged by solar flares or something else, you've then got this really tricky business of how to actually land on the red planet. The spacecraft will be travelling at tens of thousands of kilometres per hour, but then it's got to enter Mars's atmosphere at exactly the right angle. Too steep and it will melt and burn up. Too shallow and it will bounce off. The atmosphere on Mars is 100 times thinner than it is on Earth. Parachutes and a heat shield are needed to slow the capsule down. Airbags and retro-rockets, that's rockets that fire in the direction that you want to travel, are also used for a safe landing. The biggest spacecraft use jetpacks to hover above the planet and gently lower equipment to the surface on cables before disappearing off. Oh, and did I mention the surface? Cliffs, craters, caves. It's rocky. If you don't hit your landing site, there could be trouble. And even if you master all of that, you got to keep your fingers crossed that all your scientific equipment has made it there in one piece. On the other hand, it is the planet that is most similar to Earth in our solar system. And if we go and study it, then we'll continue to learn more about it. This is Ingenuity, and it's going to Mars. NASA hopes it will give us a different view of things and allow us to study cliffs and craters and all the other places that rovers like this one simply can't get to. It's got these carbon fibre blades and they can spin 8 times faster than the blades on a helicopter here on Earth, at around 2,400 revolutions per minute. It's got solar cells, batteries, 2 cameras, one black and white and one in colour, computer systems, navigation systems, all of this in a helicopter that's only the size of a chihuahua. It's so small, it's actually travelling in the belly of another piece of scientific equipment that NASA is sending to Mars, all part of its 2020 mission to the Red Planet. Now, because Mars is so far away from Earth, there's too much of a delay for you to be able to control this thing with a joystick. So what's happening is scientists are sending commands way, way, way in advance. So essentially, this machine will be taking off by itself, flying by itself, and landing by itself. And flying there won't be easy. The atmosphere is 100 times thinner than it is here on Earth. But if it works, we could be sending more flying robots to Mars in the future, and possibly using them as scouts for human missions one day.
Thanks for watching Universal Information and Entertainment TV. Please like and subscribe our channel for more updated videos, news, information and entertainment. See you in next video. Stay tuned.